Admiral Hyunwoo Kim stood in the command center of Orbital Station Alpha, his hands gripping the metal rail so tight his knuckles turned white. The massive screens in front of him showed something no human should ever have to see. 10 billion people were about to die, and everyone on Earth was being forced to watch. The alien broadcast had started 3 hours ago. The hegemony wanted every human in the galaxy to see what happened when someone said no to them. Hyunwoo watched the feed from New Seoul Colony, where his sister lived with her 2 children. The camera showed thousands of humans standing in a large square, surrounded by tall reptilian soldiers with glowing weapons. "Please," whispered Captain Minho Park from behind him. His voice cracked. Please let this be fake, but it was not fake. The aliens had made sure of that. They showed close-ups of human faces. They spoke the names of the colonies. They even let some humans say goodbye messages before they died. The hegemony wanted no doubt that this was real. Dr. So-Young Park sat at her workstation, tears running down her face as she watched her daughter on the screen. Her little girl was only 8 years old and stood in the crowd on Mars Colony, holding a stuffed bear. So-Young had given her that bear for her last birthday. "Mommy, I can see you," the little girl said, waving at the camera. "The lizard people said you can see me." So-Young put her hand on the screen. Her daughter could not see her, but the child kept waving anyway. The alien holding the camera made a sound that might have been laughing. Commander Dae-Hyun Lee watched from the military briefing room. His entire family was on Mars Colony. His parents, his wife, his 2 sons, his brother and sister-in-law, even his old grandmother who was 93 years old. They all stood together in the crowd holding hands. The alien leader, who called himself Rexton, spoke in perfect human language. His voice was cold and sharp like broken glass. "Humans of Earth," he said, "you have refused our offer of surrender. You have chosen to fight instead of serving us. This is what happens to those who say no to the hegemony." The reptilian soldiers raised their weapons. Hyunwoo closed his eyes, but he could still hear everything. The screaming lasted for only a few seconds. When he opened his eyes again, the square was empty except for ash and dust. "Colony 7 is next," Frextown announced. The cameras switched to show another human settlement. More families, more children, more people who had done nothing wrong except be human. The process repeated. The aliens read out the colony name, showed the people, let them say goodbye, then killed them all. Engineer Haiwan Jung sat in her lab, watching her computer screen. She was supposed to be working on new engine designs, but all work had stopped when the broadcast began. Her nephew lived on Colony 7 with his wife and their new baby. She watched him hold up the baby toward the camera. "Tell my mom I love her," he said. "Tell her we named the baby after her." Then he was gone too. Just ash in the wind. The broadcast continued for 6 hours. Colony after colony, world after world. The aliens killed humans on mining stations, farming planets, research bases, and trading posts. They killed soldiers and civilians, adults and children, sick and healthy people. They killed humans who begged and humans who stood proud. They killed everyone. General Soo Bin-yoon watched from the Pentagon's war room. She had seen battle before. She had watched soldiers die. But this was different. This was not war. This was something worse. The aliens were not trying to win territory or resources. They just wanted to hurt humans as much as possible. 10 billion, she whispered when it was over. 10 billion people. The alien leader appeared on screen one last time. Behind him, humans could see burning buildings and empty streets where millions of people had lived just hours before. "Earth," Frexton said, "you have 72 hours to surrender. Send your leaders to kneel before me, or we will come to your planet and do the same thing to all of you. We have shown you what happens to humans who resist the hegemony. Choose wisely." The broadcast ended. The command center fell silent except for the sound of people crying. President Ji-hoon Choi walked into the room. His face was pale, but his eyes burned with something that had not been there before. Everyone turned to look at him. "Sir," Admiral Hyunwoo said, "they want an answer in 72 hours. "I know," the president said quietly. "What do we do?" asked Dr. So-Young Park. Her voice was barely a whisper. President Choi looked around the room at all the faces staring at him. These were Earth's best and brightest people. Scientists, soldiers, engineers, and leaders. Many of them had just watched their families die. "We give them an answer," he said, "but not the one they expect." Something had changed in the room. The crying had stopped. The fear was still there, but something else was growing alongside it. Something cold and hard and angry. Captain Min-ho Park wiped his eyes and stood up straighter. Commander Dae-hyun Lee's hand stopped shaking. Engineer Hae-won Young turned off her computer and started thinking about different kinds of machines she could build. The aliens had made a mistake. They thought showing humans their cruelty would make Earth surrender. Instead, they had shown every human alive exactly what kind of monsters they were fighting. They had united every person on Earth behind a single purpose. Admiral Hyun-woo Kim looked at the empty screens and made a promise to his dead sister and her children. The hegemony would pay for what they had done. Not just the soldiers who pulled the triggers, but every single one of their kind. Earth had 72 hours to answer. But the real question was not whether humans would surrender. The real question was how many aliens would be left alive when humanity was finished with them. The answer, though nobody knew it yet, was 0. Admiral Vrextan stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the empty space where Earth's communication signals used to be. For the first time in his long military career, he felt something strange in his stomach. It might have been worry. Still nothing? He asked his communications officer. No signals from Earth, sir. No radio, no subspace, no quantum channels. Complete silence for 48 hours now. Vrextan's claws tapped against his command chair. In 10,000 years of hegemony expansion, no species had ever gone silent after seeing the broadcasts. They always begged. They always tried to negotiate. They always sent desperate messages promising anything if their people could be spared. But the humans had said nothing at all. On Earth, President Ji-hoon Choi sat in a meeting room deep underground. The emergency bunker was 2 miles below the surface and could survive anything the aliens might throw at them. Around the table sat the most important people left alive on the planet. All external communications are cut, reported Admiral Hyun-woo Kim. Every satellite, every radio tower, every quantum transmitter. As far as the galaxy knows, Earth is dead. Good, said the president. Let them think we're broken. Let them think we're hiding and crying. Dr. So-young Park looked different than she had 2 days ago. Her hair was pulled back tight and her lab coat was stained with chemicals. She had not slept since watching her daughter die. The biological weapons are ready for testing, she said in a flat voice. I've created 17 different viruses that target hegemony DNA. Some kill quickly, some kill slowly. Some cause pain, some cause madness. General Subin Yoon nodded. The military conversion is ahead of schedule. Every factory on Earth is now making weapons. Every research lab is working on new ways to kill aliens. Every person with hands is helping. Engineer Hae-won Jung pulled up holographic displays of her new designs. The machines looked wrong somehow, like they had been built by someone who had forgotten how to make normal things. The Reaper swarms are almost ready, she said. Nanobots that eat alien flesh and turn it into more nanobots. They can't reproduce using human DNA, so they're safe for us, but deadly for them. Commander Dae-hyun Lee had been put in charge of the special projects. His eyes had turned cold and empty after watching his family die. The bioships are growing well, he reported. We took DNA from every predator we could find and mixed it with our ship designs. They can repair themselves by eating enemy vessels. They can survive in space without life support. They can think and hunt on their own. President Choi looked around the table. These people had been Earth's brightest scientists and leaders. Now they were something else. Something harder and more dangerous. How many aliens can we kill? He asked. All of them, Dr. Park answered without hesitation. Every single one of their species. I've designed the viruses to spread through their colonies like wildfire. Once it starts, it won't stop until they're extinct. The nanobots can convert an entire planet, Engineer Young added. Turn all their organic matter into weapons. Their own dead will become ammunition to kill more of them. Captain Min-ho Park had been working with the intelligence teams. We have operatives in place, he said. Humans who were captured years ago and placed on alien worlds as slaves. They've been waiting for orders. When we give the signal, they'll release the bioweapons simultaneously across 200 hegemony planets. General Yoon spread out star charts on the table. We've identified every hegemony world, every military base, every trade route. When we strike, we'll hit them everywhere at once. They won't have time to warn each other or prepare defenses. What about the other alien species? Asked Admiral Kim. Some of them might try to help the hegemony. Any species that helps them dies too, said President Choi. Any species that stays neutral gets to live. Any species that helps us gets our protection. Simple rules. Dr. Park had been working on something special in her private lab. She pulled out a small vial filled with clear liquid. "This is for their leader," she said. "For Vrextan. It won't kill him quickly. It will take weeks and every day will be worse than the last. He'll beg for death long before it comes." The room fell quiet. Outside the bunker, Earth continued its strange transformation. Factories that used to make cars now made bioweapons. Schools that used to teach children now trained soldiers. Farms that used to grow food now grew organisms designed to kill aliens. Engineer Young had started calling it Protocol Omega, the complete conversion of human civilization into a weapon of war. Every person, every building, every resource was now part of Earth's military machine. "How long before we're ready?" asked the president. 6 more hours, said General Yoon. "The fleet will be in position. The bioweapons will be distributed. The operatives will be ready to strike." Admiral Kim checked his watch. 18 hours left in their deadline. President Choi stood up slowly. His face had changed over the past 2 days. The lines were deeper, the eyes harder. The man who had led Earth in peace was gone. What remained was something built for war. "Good," he said. "Let them come expecting to find broken humans begging for mercy. Instead, they'll find something they've never seen before. They'll find a species that remembers every death and pays back every injury." On his flagship, Admiral Vrextan was growing more nervous. His communications officer had tried every frequency, every protocol, every method of contact they knew. Earth remained silent. "Perhaps they're all dead," suggested his tactical officer. "Suicide rather than surrender." "No," Vrextan said. "I can feel them. They're still there. But something is wrong." He was right. Something was very wrong. The humans were not hiding in fear. They were not crying in despair. They were not broken at all. They were preparing. Deep underground, President Choi looked at the countdown clock on the wall. 15 hours until the aliens expected their answer. Earth would give them an answer, but it would be written in alien blood across 1,000 worlds. The silence from Earth was not the quiet of defeat. It was the silence of a predator waiting to strike, and when humanity finally spoke again, the galaxy would never be the same. Captain Young Min Kang floated in the pilot chamber of his bioship, feeling the creature's heartbeat through the neural links in his spine. The ship was alive, bred from Earth's most dangerous predators and engineered to hunt aliens in space. It had no name because it did not need one. It knew what it was for. Around him, the rest of Earth's new fleet waited in the shadow of the moon. These were not the clean metal ships humans used to build. These vessels pulsed with alien muscle and human technology. They breathed in space, fed on enemy ships, and healed their wounds by consuming whatever they could catch. "All ships, this is Admiral Kim," came the voice through the bioneural network. "The alien fleet has entered our solar system. They expect to find us crying and begging. Show them what humans really look like when we're angry." The hegemony invasion force was massive. 300 warships, each one capable of destroying a planet. Admiral Vrextan stood on his command bridge, confident that the silent humans would surrender the moment they saw his fleet. "Take us to Earth," he ordered. "Prepare the broadcast equipment. The galaxy will watch these humans kneel before the hegemony." But as his ships moved toward Earth, something unexpected happened. The planet was not dark and lifeless as he had expected. Instead, it glowed with a sick green light, and strange signals poured from its surface like the screaming of wounded animals. "Sir," his sensor officer said, voice shaking, "I'm reading massive energy signatures. Thousands of them. And they're moving." That was when Earth's children emerged from hiding. Captain Kang's ship uncurled from the asteroid where it had been waiting. The biovessel stretched like a waking predator, its living hull shifting from rock gray to deep black. Around it, hundreds of similar creatures began to move. The hegemony sensors had never seen anything like them. The ships registered as both mechanical and biological, both artificial and alive. They moved wrong, flowing through space like swimming serpents instead of flying like normal spacecraft. "What are those things?" Vrextan demanded. His tactical officer stared at the readings. "Unknown, sir. They appear to be ungrowing." He was right. The bioships were indeed growing, feeding on cosmic radiation and space dust to increase their mass. As they grew, new weapon systems sprouted from their hulls like flowers of death. Dr. So Young Park watched the battle begin from her laboratory deep beneath Earth's surface. She had become something different over the past 3 days. Her colleagues called her the Mother of Vengeance now, and she wore the title proudly. "Release the atmospheric weapons," she ordered. Across Earth's surface, massive organic cannons rose from hidden silos. They looked like enormous flowers or mushrooms, but they fired clouds of engineered viruses into space. The clouds drifted toward the alien fleet like invisible death. Commander Dae-hyun Lee led the first wave of boarding attacks. His team wore biosuits that let them survive in the vacuum of space without oxygen tanks or pressure suits. The suits were made from modified shark skin and insect armor, and they turned humans into living weapons. When the bioships reached the alien fleet, they did not fire conventional weapons. Instead, they opened their mouths and spat out boarding pods filled with modified humans. The pods looked like giant seeds or eggs, and they stuck to alien hulls before boring through the metal. Rexton watched in horror as his ships were invaded by creatures that should not exist. The humans came through the walls like living drills, their biosuits protecting them from the alien atmosphere. They moved too fast, hit too hard, and showed no fear of death. "Security teams to all decks," he shouted. "Repel boarders." But his soldiers had never fought anything like these modified humans. Commander Lee's team moved through the alien ship like a pack of wolves, tearing through bulkheads with their bare hands and breathing poison that killed everything they touched. Engineer Hai-Wan Young monitored the battle from her command center. Her Reaper swarms were working perfectly. The nanobots spread through the alien ships like silver blood, converting everything they touched into more weapons. Alien soldiers dissolved into clouds of killer machines that then attacked their own. "Comrades, conversion rate is optimal," she reported to Admiral Kim. "Enemy fleet strength is decreasing exponentially." The bioships fed as they fought. Captain Kang watched his vessel tear chunks of metal from an alien destroyer, digesting the materials and using them to grow new weapons. The ship hummed with satisfaction as it consumed its prey. Other hegemony vessels tried to retreat, but Earth's children had planned for that too. Modified human fighters swarmed around the fleeing ships like angry bees. These pilots had been changed to survive extreme acceleration and radiation. They flew ships that were part machine, part living organism, and they hunted alien vessels with the patience of spiders. General Subin Yoon coordinated the ground-based attacks. Earth's surface had become a fortress covered in bioweapons and organic artillery. When alien dropships tried to land, they were met by creatures that rose from the soil like nightmares made real. The battle should have lasted days. The hegemony fleet was massive and well-armed, but it lasted only 6 hours because the humans had learned to fight like the planet's most successful predators. As the last alien ship exploded, Admiral Kim opened a communication channel to the single hegemony vessel he had allowed to escape. On the screen appeared Rextan's terrified face. "You wanted an answer?" Admiral Kim said calmly. "Here it is. We are coming for all of you. Every world, every colony, every single member of your species. What you did to our people was genocide. What we're going to do to your people is extinction." Dr. Park appeared beside him on the screen, holding a vial of her special virus. "This is for you personally, Rextan. When we catch you, you'll live just long enough to watch your entire species die before you do." The communication ended. The surviving alien ship fled toward hegemony space, carrying news that would spread terror throughout their empire. On Earth, the bioships settled into new orbits, beginning to reproduce. Each ship carried the seeds of others, and soon Earth would have not hundreds but thousands of living warships. The planet itself had become a nest for creatures designed to hunt aliens across the galaxy. President Ji-hoon Choi stood on the observation deck of the orbital command station, looking out at the growing fleet. The battle for Earth was over, but Operation Alien Extinct was just beginning. The humans had tasted alien blood, and they wanted more. Commander Dae-hyun Lee stood on the bridge of the bioship Retribution as it emerged from hyperspace above the hegemony colony world of Kreshtar. The planet was home to 2 billion aliens who had never seen a human before. In 12 hours it would be a dead world. "Beginning atmospheric seeding," reported Lieutenant Bo-Rahan from her position at the bioweapons console. She had volunteered for the Reaper Corps after losing her parents in the genocide. Like all Reaper soldiers, she had been psychologically conditioned to feel no mercy for aliens. The ship opened its belly and released millions of spores into the planet's atmosphere. To the aliens below, it looked like strange snow falling from the sky. They had no idea that each flake contained engineered viruses designed specifically to kill their species. On the planet's surface, hegemony citizens pointed at the falling particles and wondered what they were. Some children tried to catch them on their tongues. The spores dissolved harmlessly on reptilian skin, but once breathed in, they began their deadly work. Lieutenant Han watched the planetary sensors as the virus spread. First infection clusters detected. Estimated full planetary coverage in 6 hours. Commander Lee nodded. This was the 37th world they had sterilized in the past month. The process had become routine. Find an alien world, seed it with bioweapons, wait for everything to die, then move on to the next target. 3 star systems away, Colonel Wansiknam was demonstrating humanity's new quantum warfare capabilities. His fleet appeared to be attacking 5 different hegemony worlds at the same time, but he actually had only 12 ships. Using quantum entanglement technology stolen from an advanced alien race, human vessels could now exist in multiple locations simultaneously. Ghost Protocol is working perfectly, he reported to Admiral Kim. The aliens think we have thousands of ships instead of dozens. Their fleet commanders are going insane trying to track us. On Hegemonis Prime, the hegemony capital world, Emperor Caxtor sat in his throne room reading reports that made no sense. Human fleets were everywhere and nowhere. Planets were dying from diseases that should not exist. The humans were doing things that violated every law of physics and warfare that the hegemony understood. How many worlds have we lost? He asked his military advisor. 143, Your Majesty. All life completely eliminated. No survivors, no trace of civilization remaining. The Emperor's claws scraped against his throne. And how many humans have we killed in return? The advisor looked at his datapad nervously. None, sir. We haven't been able to touch them. They appear, destroy everything, then vanish before our fleets can respond. Meanwhile, Dr. So-Young Park had moved her laboratory to a massive bioship that traveled from world to world, perfecting her weapons. She was no longer satisfied with simply killing aliens quickly. She wanted them to suffer the way her daughter had suffered. The new strain is ready, she told her research team. They were all volunteers who had lost family in the genocide. Like her, they had transformed their grief into something cold and scientific. What does this one do? Asked Dr. Taemin Song, her chief assistant. It keeps them conscious while their bodies dissolve from the inside out, she explained. They'll be aware of every moment of pain until the very end. I've tested it on captured specimens. The process takes exactly 72 hours, the same amount of time the aliens had given Earth to surrender. Engineer Haewon Jung had built a factory ship that could convert entire moons into weapons. The massive vessel consumed asteroids and planets, digesting the raw materials and excreting fleets of hunter-killer drones. Production is exceeding projections, she reported during the weekly strategy meeting. We're launching 10,000 new attack units every day. Each one is programmed to hunt hegemony biosignatures across the galaxy. Captain Youngmin Kang had become something between a pilot and a predator. His bioship had grown to enormous size, feeding on destroyed alien vessels and expanding its weapons systems. He no longer gave it orders. Instead, they hunted together as partners. We found a hidden hegemony research station, he reported after returning from a scouting mission. They're trying to develop weapons to fight us. Eliminate it, ordered Commander Lee. No prisoners, no survivors, no evidence left behind. That was the new rule for all human military operations. Complete extinction. The humans did not capture alien facilities or interrogate prisoners or try to understand enemy technology. They simply killed everything and moved on. President Ji-Hoon Choi watched the progress reports from his command ship, a living creature the size of a small moon. The vessel's brain was connected to every human ship in the fleet, allowing him to coordinate attacks across hundreds of star systems simultaneously. Other alien species are requesting communication, reported Admiral Kim. They want to discuss peace, treaties. What do they offer? Asked the president. Full neutrality in our war with the hegemony. Some are offering to help us hunt down remaining hegemony survivors. President Choi considered this. The war had been going on for 6 months now, and humanity was winning completely. The hegemony had lost 90% of their territory and population. But there were still millions of aliens scattered across the galaxy, hiding on remote worlds and in deep space. Tell the other species our terms, he said, Any alien government that helps us eliminate the hegemony will receive protection from humanity. Any government that stays neutral will be left alone. Any government that helps the hegemony will be destroyed completely. These were simple rules that every species in the galaxy could understand. Most chose to help humanity rather than risk becoming targets themselves. General Subin Yoon had established human bases on conquered alien worlds, but these were not normal colonies. They were hunting lodges where specially trained soldiers bred bioweapons and manufactured equipment for the extermination campaign. We've confirmed hegemony survivors on 217 worlds, she reported. Our allies are providing intelligence and logistics support. The hunt should be complete within 1 year. Lieutenant Han and her Reaper Corps had become legendary throughout the galaxy. They landed on planets where aliens were hiding, released their nanobots, and waited patiently while every living thing was converted into weapons. Then they moved on to the next world. The psychological effect is working, she reported. Other alien species are more afraid of us than they were of the hegemony. Several governments have surrendered to us without a fight, just in case we decide they're a threat. This was exactly what humanity wanted. The galaxy was learning that humans were not just another species to be conquered or negotiated with. They were something new and terrible. A race that could eliminate entire civilizations with scientific precision and infinite patience. The hegemony had made the mistake of showing humanity their cruelty. Now the galaxy was learning what human cruelty looked like when it was combined with human intelligence, human technology, and human determination. Commander Lee looked out at the stars and smiled. Somewhere out there, Vrexaton was still alive, still running, still hoping to escape. But there was nowhere in the galaxy he could hide. Humanity would find him eventually, and when they did, Dr. Park's special virus would be waiting for him. The hunt would continue until every last alien was dead. Emperor Caxtor stood on the highest tower of his palace, looking up at the sky above Hegemonus Prime. The stars were wrong. Where once there had been empty space, now there were shadows that moved and twisted, blocking out the light. The human fleet had arrived. He activated the emergency broadcast system one final time, sending a desperate message to every species in the galaxy. "This is Emperor Caxtor of the Hegemony," he said, his voice cracking with fear. "The humans are here. They're going to kill us all. Please, any species that can hear this, help us. They're not stopping with just us. They'll come for you next." But no help was coming. Every other alien government had already made their choice. Some actively helped the humans hunt down hegemony survivors. Others simply watched and stayed quiet. None were willing to risk humanity's anger by defending the species that had started this war. President Ji-hoon Choi stood in the command center of his massive bioship, now called Retribution. The vessel had grown to the size of a small planet, its living hull covered in weapons that pulsed with their own heartbeats. Through neural links, he could feel every human ship in the fleet, every soldier, every bioweapon, all forces. "Begin final approach," he ordered. The human fleet moved toward Hegemonus Prime like a swarm of mechanical locusts. There were bioships the size of moons, hunter-killer drones that moved like schools of fish, and atmospheric weapons that looked like floating flowers of death. The sky above the alien capital turned black with humanity's children. Admiral Vrexton was trapped on the planet's surface. His own ship had been destroyed months ago, and he had been hiding in the Emperor's palace ever since. He looked out the window at the approaching fleet and felt something he had never experienced before: complete despair. "They're really going to do it," he whispered. "They're going to kill every one of us." Dr. So-Young Park was aboard one of the lead bioships, personally overseeing the deployment of her final creation. She had spent the last year perfecting the atmospheric virus that would end the hegemony forever. Unlike her other weapons, this one was designed to be permanent. Once released, it would remain in the planet's air and soil forever, making the world uninhabitable for their species. "Virus deployment ready," she reported to President Choi. "Once we release this, no member of their species will ever be able to survive on this world again. Do it," the president ordered. The bioships opened their bellies and released clouds of engineered death into Hegemonus Prime's atmosphere. The virus was invisible and odorless, but within minutes, every reptilian creature on the planet began to feel its effects. Commander Dae-hyun Lee led the ground assault teams. His soldiers no longer looked completely human. Months of biomodification had changed them into something designed purely for killing aliens. They breathed poison. Their skin was armored like insects, and their hands ended in claws that could tear through metal. Secure all major population centers, he ordered. Standard protocol. No survivors. Lieutenant Borahan and her Reaper Corps spread through the capital city, releasing nanobots that converted everything they touched into more weapons. Alien buildings dissolved into clouds of killer machines. Streets became rivers of liquid metal that hunted down any living creature with hegemony DNA. Engineer Haiwan Jung monitored the planetary conversion from orbit. Her machines were turning Hegemonous Prime into a factory for producing more bioweapons. The planet's own resources were being consumed and transformed into tools for hunting down any aliens who might have escaped to other worlds. Conversion rate is optimal, she reported. The planet will be completely processed within 72 hours. Emperor Caxtor made one last attempt to save his people. He activated his personal communicator and tried to reach President Choi directly. Please, he begged when the human leader's face appeared on the screen. My people are dying. We surrender completely. We'll do anything you want. Just stop this madness. President Choi looked at the alien emperor with cold, empty eyes. You had 72 hours to surrender before you murdered 10 billion humans. That offer expired a long time ago, but we're beaten, Caxtor cried. We have no weapons left, no ships, no colonies. We're helpless! Good, said President Choi. That's exactly how we want you. The communication ended, leaving the Emperor alone with his dying people. Dr. Park had saved her special virus for Admiral Vrexton. When her soldiers found him hiding in the palace basement, they brought him to her personally. She injected him with the slow-acting poison that would take weeks to kill him. This is for my daughter, she said as she watched him fall to his knees. And for every human child you murdered. Vrexton tried to speak, but the virus was already affecting his nervous system. He would spend his remaining weeks in agony, fully conscious but unable to move or cry out. General Subin Yoon coordinated the final sweep of the planet. Human soldiers moved through every building, every tunnel, every hiding place. They used bioscanners that could detect alien DNA from miles away. When they found hegemony survivors, they released nanobots that converted them into raw materials for more weapons. The process took exactly 72 hours, just as Engineer Young had predicted. When it was over, Hegemonous Prime was empty of all native life. The planet's surface had been transformed into a garden with 10 billion flowers, one for each human who had died in the genocide. But humanity was not finished. Over the next 6 months, they hunted down every remaining hegemony survivor in the galaxy. Some had hidden on remote worlds. Others had tried to blend in with different alien species. A few had attempted to escape to other galaxies. Captain Young Min Kang's bioship had evolved into something that could track hegemony DNA across interstellar distances. Working with Colonel Wan Sik Nam's quantum fleets, they located and eliminated every last member of the species. When it was over, the hegemony was completely extinct. Not just defeated or scattered, but wiped from existence as thoroughly as if they had never evolved at all. The galaxy watched in terrified silence as humanity demonstrated something unprecedented. The complete elimination of a spacefaring civilization. No species in galactic history had ever achieved total extinction of another intelligent race. President Choi addressed the galaxy from the ruins of Hegemonous Prime. Let this be a lesson, he said calmly. Humanity remembers. We do not forgive. We do not forget. We do not stop until our enemies are extinct. Any species that threatens human life will share the hegemony's fate. Over the following months, alien governments lined up to sign peace treaties with Earth, not out of friendship or respect, but out of pure primal terror. They had seen what humans could do when pushed too far. The galaxy had a new apex predator, and its name was humanity. Commander Lee stood in the memorial garden that had once been the hegemony capital, watching human terraforming ships plant the final flowers. Each bloom was genetically programmed to live for exactly one human lifetime before reproducing, ensuring that the memorial would exist as long as humanity remembered their dead. The war was over. The aliens who had murdered 10 billion humans were extinct. Justice had been served with scientific precision and infinite cruelty. And somewhere in the darkness between the stars, humanity's bioships continued to grow and multiply, waiting patiently for the next species foolish enough to threaten Earth's children.